Before the world wakes up, before roads fill with noise and machines begin to hum, there is a man standing alone in the Iranian desert, preparing to bake bread without an oven. No walls, no electricity, no modern tools, only sand, fire, and memory. This is not a story of comfort or convenience. This is a story of survival,
May the
tradition,
morning
and a
bring
life
peace
shaped
to
by
the
the desert
dunes.
itself. The desert wakes before the sun. Long before the first light touches the endless stretches of sand in southeastern Iran, the land begins to breathe. The night's cold slowly releases its grip, and a dry wind moves gently across the ground, carrying the smell of dust, stone, and distant animals. In this silence, life does not announce itself loudly. It whispers. This is the world of Hassan, an old shepherd whose life has been shaped by the desert the way rock is shaped by wind, slowly and without mercy. Hassan lives in a small mud brick shelter built by his own hands more than 40 years ago. The walls are thick and cracked, repaired many times with mud and straw. The roof is made from palm trunks and dried reeds, layered carefully to keep out the burning heat of summer and the freezing cold of winter nights. There is no electricity here, no running water, and no modern comfort. Yet this shelter was not always silent. There was a time when laughter filled this place, when children's voices echoed across the sand, and when a woman's presence made the desert feel less lonely. That woman was Zara, Hassan's wife. She was strong, patient, and deeply connected to the land. Zara baked bread beside Hassan, taught their children to respect fire, and believed the desert was not cruel, but honest. She used to say that the desert only takes from those who try to fight it. Many winters ago, illness took Zara away, leaving behind silence, memories, and a life that Hassan continues alone. They had 3 children, 2 sons and a daughter. The sons grew up following Hassan across the desert, learning how to guide sheep, find water and dry land, and read signs written in sand and sky. But life slowly pulled them away. One son now works in a distant town, surrounded by concrete and noise. The other left long ago, chasing promises of the city, and never returned. Their daughter married young and moved far away. Now only Hassan remains, carrying the weight of memories and tradition on his shoulders. Before the sun rises, Hassan wakes from his thin mattress laid directly on the earth. He wraps himself in a worn wool shawl and steps outside barefoot, feeling the cold sand beneath his feet. He faces the horizon and whispers a short prayer, not only for himself, but for his children, wherever they may be. The sheep begin to stir, and the soft ringing of bells fills the air. These animals are not just livestock, they are family, responsibility, and survival. Some of them were born in the hands of his children, and Hassan recognizes each one without counting. Before the long journey of the day begins, Hassan must bake bread. There is no oven in the desert. He kneels beside a cleared patch of ground near the shelter, a place smoothed by decades of use. This spot once held Zara's shadow as she worked beside him, her hands covered in flour, her laughter mixing with the crackle of fire. Hassan opens a small cloth bundle containing flour, precious and carefully saved. He pours it into a shallow clay bowl, adds a pinch of salt, and slowly pours water from a goatskin bag. His hands begin to knead, folding and pressing the dough with movements learned long before words were needed. As he kneads, memories rise with the warmth of the earth. He remembers his youngest son playing with dough, Zara gently scolding him for wasting flour, and his daughter watching closely, learning silently. Hassan gathers dry shrubs, camel thorn, and sun-dried animal dung to build a small fire directly on the ground. Firewood is rare here, and every piece is used with care. When the fire burns down to glowing embers, he spreads the ashes aside, revealing the hot sand beneath. This is the oven. He flattens the dough into thin rounds and places them carefully onto the hot ground. A soft sizzle fills the air, and the smell of fresh bread rises, warm and comforting. He lightly covers the bread with hot sand and ash, sealing the heat inside. There is no clock, no timer. Hassan watches the smoke, listens to the wind, and feels the heat against his skin. Zara once told him that rushing bread would only ruin it, and the memory brings a faint smile to his face. When the bread is ready, he brushes away the sand and lifts it with a wooden stick. It is uneven, blistered, imperfect, and beautiful. Breakfast is simple: warm bread, dried cheese, and tea boiled over the same fire. Hassan eats slowly, sitting on a flat stone, tearing the bread with his hands as his father once did, and as his children once did beside him. He drops a small piece of bread on the ground, an old habit, a quiet offering to the earth. As the sun rises fully, the desert changes. Shadows shrink, colors sharpen, and heat begins to build. Hassan gathers his sheep and starts the long walk across the open land. His wooden staff taps softly against the ground, and the flock follows him with trust built over years. The journey is hard, the sun relentless, but Hassan moves steadily. He knows when to stop, when to move, and when to listen. By midday, the heat becomes unforgiving. Hassan guides the sheep to a rocky outcrop where a thin strip of shade clings stubbornly to stone. They rest together in silence. Hassan repairs a worn sandal with leather straps and sharpens his knife on a smooth rock. In the desert, nothing is wasted. Everything has more than one life. As the heat fades, they move again, returning home by late afternoon. The desert glows in golden light, and the wind carries the soft sound of bells across the land. Hassan secures the sheep carefully, checking each one as if counting blessings. As evening approaches and the desert cools, he gathers firewood once more. The day ends where it began, with fire, bread, and quiet survival, as Hassan prepares to bake again, carrying his family's memory forward in every simple act.
As the sun sinks toward the horizon, the desert begins to change its voice. The heat that ruled the day slowly retreats, and a cool silence spreads across the land. Shadows grow longer, stretching across the sand like dark rivers, and the sky turns from burning gold to soft orange and finally to deep blue. Hassan stands outside his shelter, watching this transformation with calm eyes. He has seen it thousands of times, yet it never feels ordinary. In the desert, every sunset feels final, as if the world is ending gently, only to be reborn again. Hassan moves slowly now, his body tired from the long walk, but his hands remain steady. He gathers the sheep into their simple enclosure made from stones and thorn branches. One by one, he checks them carefully, feeling their sides, listening to their breathing, making sure none are injured or missing. This habit was taught to him by his father, who used to say that a shepherd's duty does not end when the sun goes down. When the last sheep settles, Hassan secures the enclosure and turns back toward his shelter. Night falls quickly in the desert. The sky fills with stars so bright and countless that it feels as though the heavens have moved closer to the earth. There are no city lights to hide them, no noise to distract the mind, only silence, broken occasionally by the distant cry of a fox or the soft movement of animals in the dark. Hassan lights a small fire near his shelter, its glow dancing across the walls and warming the cold air. Once again, he prepares to bake bread. The movements are slower now, heavier with the weight of the day. He pours flour into the clay bowl, adds water, and kneads the dough gently. His hands ache, but they do not forget their purpose. As he works, his thoughts drift back to nights long past, when Zara sat beside him, telling stories to the children while the bread baked beneath the sand. He remembers their voices, their laughter, and the way the fire reflected in their eyes. Those nights are gone, but the memory of them still warms him more than the flames ever could. Hassan builds the fire carefully, feeding it just enough to heat the earth. When the ground is ready, he places the flattened dough onto the hot sand and covers it with ash. The smell of bread soon rises into the cold night air. It is a smell that connects past and present, a reminder that life continues even when everything else seems to fade away. Dinner is simple, just as it has always been. Fresh bread, a small piece of dried cheese, and hot tea. Hassan eats slowly, listening to the desert around him. He
He does not eat in front of a screen or under bright lights. He eats under the stars, surrounded by silence that feels full rather than empty. Each bite carries effort, patience, and survival. After eating, Hassan sits quietly by the dying fire. He stares at the flames as they shrink and disappear into glowing embers. His thoughts wander to his children again. He wonders if they remember this life, if they remember the taste of bread baked in sand, or the sound of sheep bells in the early morning. He does not blame them for leaving. The desert is not an easy teacher, and not everyone is meant to learn its lessons. The cold deepens as the night grows older. Hassan wraps himself in his wool blanket and lies down on his mat outside the shelter, as he often does when the weather allows. Above him, the Milky Way stretches across the sky like a white path of light. He remembers lying like this as a boy, listening to his father speak about stars, directions, and survival. Those lessons live on in him now, guiding each step he takes. Tomorrow will be the same, and yet it will be different. The sun will rise, the sheep will walk, and bread will be baked without an oven. The desert will test him again, and he will answer in the only way he knows, with patience, respect, and quiet strength. Hassan closes his eyes, breathing in the cool desert air. In this vast and silent land, he is not rich, he is not famous, but he is complete. In the quiet life of Hassan, the desert teaches lessons that the modern world has forgotten. Here, survival is not about speed or comfort, but about patience, respect, and understanding the land. Baking bread without an oven is more than a necessity. It is a symbol of resilience, tradition, and harmony with nature. Hassan's story reminds us that true strength is found not in what we own, but in how little we need to live with dignity. In the endless silence of the desert, life moves slowly, but its meaning grows deep, rooted in earth, fire, and the simple courage to endure.
That is it, very gently onto the sand. See how the heat works.
Yeah. It is beautiful, Zahra.
Can we eat it now? Look how well you did that.
We made it golden brown.
Yes, you did. Very good.